Howdy, what do you know? This is Rabbit of ScrubLeet Academy, and we are back on Lamannia in Dido today, and I'm joined by Whiney, who's playing a very badly named tune.
Hi, folks.
Hi,
This is
folks.
Whiney.
Yes, it's not a very good name. I don't like it. I have a feeling it's very personal, and it hurts me very, very close.
Well, I've aptly named it after my wonderful son as a terms of endearment
Yes,
called Little Dumbass.
for you see, I don't think that that's okay. But today we are going to be looking at Horizon Walker, and I think we'll go through it point by point. I think that's probably the best way to do it. And we have no knowledge of what this tree is supposed to be. And after reading it on Dido, I still don't know if I have any idea what it's supposed to be. So I think this will be interesting.
Yeah, it we'll go through it and we'll give our opinions of what we think or expect or hope that will come out on this tree. Yeah, we'll give it a grading system, good, bad, or indifferent. Are rated anywhere from one being terrible, 10 being great.
Yeah, we can give it a
Okay.
letter grade too if you want. That'll work too.
Okay. No,
Yeah,
it don't matter.
give it a classroom grade. But um I guess the first thing they introduced is marking targets. What do you think about that being the resident ranger?
Well, I think that's good because you can mark a target, and that'll hopefully, if they've done it, give it a chance to increase damage or even hit. Okay, which you later on, if they've done more marks, increase the critical chance. So therefore, it'll help bring up the ranger to increase DPS to maybe not do as much as a melee team, which is understandable, but at least it'll bring it up from the doldrums of the bottom of the trash can up to somewhat respectable.
The
You know,
trash can that is ranger.
yeah.
That I can't even disagree with that. Ranger is so bad, it's ridiculous. And everything that they bring out for ranged tunes in general, it negatively impacts the balance between ranger and like crossbow users because crossbows are just
Or even with pallies and being a ranger, they're still better than a ranger being a ranger.
oh true, yeah. The actual paladin trees are so much better than ranger, it's absurd.
Yep.
But the marking targets thing, is this I was wondering what the theme of this whole thing was, and I think we'll get more to that as we get further along. But the
Well,
marking targets thing, does that really fit like the Horizon Walker Planeswalker style is the question, I guess.
uh, I really don't know for the thing because marking the target should be it should be it sounds like it's a sniper. Okay.
Hmm.
But as far as a planeswalker or Horizon Walker or whatever, it really doesn't seem. I mean, it doesn't seem to fit that because what's the difference between, say, a arcane archer or a tempest, or a deepwood stalker versus this here being you mark your target because they all do the same thing, you know. So this here marking the target seems more of a sniper than anything else. It doesn't seem like, oh, I'm going to go out and kill stuff that comes through different portals or dimensions or walk the horizon or stuff like that. That doesn't seem to fit. It just seems to, well, it's damage, but it doesn't seem to fit into the Horizon Walker, in my opinion.
Yeah, and honestly, marked targets are weird because there's no identity to the marked target they've got in this tree. Like, at the beginning here, you get spot and listen, which might be all well and good for tracking to some extent. Horizon Walker could be seen as a tracker, but they don't really lean into it. but then like targets you mark get reduction to AC, reduction to fortification. They get reduction to saving throws. And all I can think is like, how does this grok with what Horizon Walker's supposed to be? This doesn't tell me anything about them. It feels like these are stats that a developer's putting into a game rather than immersing you into the character class and how it would functionally do something. So there's
Yeah, like this is just a debuff basically,
yeah, but
which is a debuff that actually could influence in any of the other trees. Which
mhm.
I mean, if you're going to mark something like whether it's an arcane archer, you can put that in there. You can put it into a deep wood stalker. This here, if it were to say uh, mark a demon or a devil or something that comes from a different plane, then you could feel this. But this is just mark any target, which really okay. So that's sort of taken away from Horizon Walker. I mean, any creature is going to be on a different plane per se. Like I mean, they're down the road or down the field. That's this here is not immersing me into what a Horizon character is. Is it because it's down the horizon? Is that what they're trying to say?
Well, I mean,
The horizon and the far sunset and stuff like that. Are
yeah.
they immersing into as a sniper? Then it should be Mark of the Sniper or something like that.
Well,
It shouldn't just be a mark.
according to the developer's little note here, the Horizon Walker has popped up in a couple editions as a variant option and a ranger path. Um, and that alone takes away the idea of like the universality of it. Because if it's already a ranger thing, how is it universal so that everybody can get it without actually doing any ranger at all?
Yeah.
It kind of feels like I don't know, maybe there's another one here. It kind of feels I don't even know if Inquisitive would work because Inquisitive could be a universal. Like Horizon Walker just doesn't feel like even a universal tree, so it doesn't even have the theme of anybody can be a Horizon Walker. It almost requires Ranger, even according to the developer's own notes.
Yeah.
So it lost that identity. It lost the identity of the mark targets. Um, there's a bunch of like displacy type of effects in here. Let's see if I can find. Yeah,
Okay,
when he's
let's just go through the cores on the bottom first.
yeah. Well, I'm just going
Okay.
over like a general outline of there doesn't seem to be an identity to it at all. It just
Well,
feels like numbers. But I guess if we went through the cores, we could pretty much just chalk all four of the first cores up to the same thing because it just reduces your mark targets, saving throws and stuff. So it's like the first four cores are of no real interest without the marks being thematic or interesting themselves. And I haven't seen that. So I guess we bump right over to like Dimension Door, the tier 5 or the core 5. What do you think of that as a planeswalker?
okay, so why are they just out of curiosity, why are they getting a dimension door? Are they
Well,
going to a different dimension?
Dimension Door in Dido doesn't function like, a dimensional it doesn't function as though you're walking through different planes or teleporting to different planes. It functions as though you basically have a reversion back to the beginning of the dungeon. You hop through a
Hmm.
door and it puts you back at the beginning or where you entered the area from. So it's locking you to your own dimension first of all, in most cases, but it also doesn't like I don't know that it really has any theme with somebody who hunts a bunch of outsider creatures who just runs across the plains hunting outsiders because well they're bored. It doesn't have any theme to that because why would they go back to the beginning if they're hunting a creature? They should be marking it. The Dimension Door feels meta. It feels like they introduced it because Dimension Door is a good ability in a video game. It doesn't
Well,
feel like a part of the class.
I gotta be honest with you. Uh, it should be if they're going to give a dimension door, then it should be as a core 6. It shouldn't even be core 5.
I would agree, but it still would have the same problem of just
No,
being a nothing burger.
but the thing is it's very powerful in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so therefore, it should be if you want this, then you need to be a full class in order to get this powerful thing. Because realistically, yeah, I mean, I can see them going back in dimensions in a sense. I mean, as the horizon, uh, even though it is yours, so it's a way to escape if necessary.
I think
But
if
if
you
you want this,
stretch,
because it's very powerful, it should be at the end core.
I think if you stretch, you can definitely see that. You can see the dimension door being a thing that a planeswalker would have. But that's
As
really,
an escape.
yeah, that's really kind of a stretch at that point because planeswalkers would be pursuing. They're the hunters, not the hunted. So why would they be running
Yeah,
away all the time? Why would they run away so much that they would learn how to use dimension door is the question. It feels thematically just bad in general.
yeah, but I can see them having that in their repertoire, but I can see it more as
Oh,
a level 20.
would you like the caveat to dimension door?
What's that?
It has a 10-minute cooldown. If you're using Dimension Door once more than once every 10 minutes, then I don't know what to tell you. You're probably running away from a lot of fights more than just getting back to the beginning to turn a quest in.
Is it a cooldown of 10 minutes? Because
Yep.
it says I have it as a 1 minute cooldown.
Uh, um. Oh wow. It is cooldown 1 minute and cooldown 10 minutes. Look at the description. Okay, I didn't even notice that.
Once per rest. It
Yep.
says once per rest, 10 minutes, but it says a cooldown of 1 minute.
I know. Like, what is? All right. So, is it 1 minute cooldown? Is it once per rest, or is it 10-minute cooldown? That's another thing that they might need to look into to make sure that it's not.
Yeah,
It might just be that they had a typo because I know typos are pretty bad with a lot of this stuff on Lamannia. I mean, it's still kind of, it's alpha test or beta test, but even then,
yeah.
it's just weird because how does this ability function? It also has zero spell point cost, I should add. I
Yeah.
should actually add
Yeah,
to
well,
that.
but also look at it. Your marked targets get a minus 10 to movement speed. What does that got to do when you use Dimension
Yeah,
Door?
I know, like, Dimension Door is you running away. Your target's getting reduction of movement speed is preventing them from running away so that you can hunt them. Like, the theme
Yeah,
is gone. I don't know
yeah.
what they're leaning into here. It feels
It,
meta.
it, yeah, and it's so convoluted.
Mm-hmm.
Like this whole Dimension Door is very convoluted because there's no specific, like you said, what is it? What's the cooldown? 1 minute, 10 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, no spell point cost or anything else like that. So therefore, like you again, like you said, there's no theme to it. What's the purpose of it?
I actually
And
didn't.
why is there a movement speed for 10%? So if you use Dimension Door,
Oh no, that's a passive.
why do you? But why do you care
Yeah,
if there's a minus 10% movement speed to them?
I
Is
actually.
this going to affect? How's it going to affect Reapers? What are they going to get? Instead of getting to you in 3 seconds, now they're going to be. It's going to be 4 seconds to get to you.
Well, here's the weird thing. First of all, I didn't expect that we'd spend so much time on the Dimension Door, considering that it's one of like three abilities that actually have to do anything with planes at all in this entire tree. But
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think we'd spend so much time on this because it so badly breaks the theme and so desperately prays to a meta. Like the Dimension Door spell is a good spell. The developers agree to it. Therefore, this new tree must have Dimension Door, and we have to throw it in their ham fist. It doesn't work with the tree at
No, it
all.
doesn't. It doesn't focus on the tree at all.
I feel like we might have rambled this one into the ground. If it were up to me, I would get rid of Dimension Door here because it's so redonkulous. Like Teleport and Greater Teleport, they work. Dimension Door does not.
No.
And I challenge somebody to try and justify that. I don't think it works at all with this tree, and I would get rid of it completely if I had the power.
Yeah, I would say teleport would be a good one here and maybe in your core 6 put greater teleport.
Yeah, that would actually work very well for the tree because you're jumping between planes or even jumping around on the same plane, but the teleport feels like you can get in the right spot at the right moment. Dimension Door, the way that D&D has it, the way that Dito has it, is that you are not getting between different points. You're jumping back to the beginning, and that's it. You can't Dimension Door back to where you Dimension Doored from.
No.
You're back to the beginning, and that is basically, it feels like a runaway mechanic more than a hunter's mechanic.
Yeah.
And
whereas
then,
teleport would work because you're teleporting to it.
yep,
You're
and
going to it.
some justification could be had for how, if you're a planeswalker, you could be trying to get away from mobs so that you can hunt them later. But teleport fits that theme too. Teleport is just a better ability thematically than Dimension Door. Dimension Door is only there because it's a stronger ability than teleport.
Yep.
That's the only reason they put it in there. And I defy somebody to actually mention why Dimension Door is justified as being not just a core, but even in the tree at all.
Yeah.
But I think that one is that's just a no for me. That one is just a total no.
Yeah, I agree with you with the teleport and the greater teleport. Now, what do you think about Horizon?
Oh, the core 6?
Yes.
Oh, it's so bad. It's just numbers.
It's overkill. Like when you get a +2 to all ability scores, so I mean, automatically get 2 from strength to charisma. Plus a 10 range power. Okay, so I can see the range power. I can see the double shot +2 maximum many shot charges. Okay, really, what? Oh, again, like you said, this is numbers. Where does it really
All right.
bring you into as what is a Horizon Walker or a Planeswalker? What is the theme of it?
Yeah.
What is their identity to it? Because there is no identity.
Well,
This
here's the
this
thing.
is just number.
You could call Horizon literally anything. You could call it walking with the planes. You could call it jumping off of a cliff and hurting my leg. And that
Yeah,
stat pool would still match that just as well. If you can
yeah,
take the stats that are going from this with no flavor text and match it to literally any name, then that entire ability is just numbers, and it's so bad. Like,
yeah.
I won't say it's
There's no
bad.
cool factor.
Well, I won't say it's bad compared to other core 6s necessarily, but
Numbers wise,
Master Falconer gives you freedom of movement, and your Falcon attacks have a chance to reset the cooldown of death from above in the Falconry tree, which at least ties a little bit to the tree itself. And Falcon attacks resetting the cooldown on death from above. Well, if your Falcon is harrying somebody, he can harry them a little more effectively. You could kind of makeshift a theme there. Vistani Knife Fighter is not really that good. It's just numbers by itself. So, honestly, I would compare it more to Vistani, where I was like, I wouldn't take Blade Master from Vistani for any reason other than that it builds a character's numbers in a video game I'm playing, and for no thematic reason at all. Horizon's maximum many shot is just meh. It's just numbers.
Do you have the Deepwood Stalker up?
I am not a ranger, so I would have to actually look up the Deepwood Stalker tree, but I could do that.
I can tell you what the Deepwood Stalker core 6.
Yes.
Guess what core 6 is?
Go for it.
Horizon Shot.
Oh, it is too. It is too. Oh my goodness.
So it gives you 20 positive spell power, plus 20 melee power, plus 20 range power. Okay, you gain a 4 dexterity, plus 3 sneak attack dice. You always considered to be in point blank shot and range sneak attack range.
Oh my god, I didn't even notice that.
That's in Horizon Shot.
And you know the sad thing? Here's the sad thing about that right now. It still fits the ranger, whereas this Horizon ability fits nobody. It's universal, which means it has no identity.
Yep.
Like, it doesn't even have an identity for Horizon. It's for the Horizon Walker itself. It doesn't have an identity for the tree it's in.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it's just so bad as a core. It's just numbers.
It is. So, I mean, you got Deepwood Stalker that's got Horizon Shot. Now you come up with a tree called Horizon, which doesn't have anything to do with, say, a shot like Deepwood Stalker does, and it's called the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this here, like this Horizon Walker should have been named Sniper or something like that.
Yeah, or exploit
And
weakness or something. But they've already got an
yeah,
exploit weakness. But you know what I'm talking. Like if you mark a target, then you would get benefits against that target. Like your marked target is now, you know, you follow this guy to the end of the plains. Flavor text right there, and then you add the stats in for what that means when you mark somebody. It might mean that you have true seeing, that you know you bypass their concealment and their incorporeality. That's already better. That's right there is stats, but it fits what you're doing. If you
but the
marked them
thing is,
for death,
if
if you
if
mark
you
them for
mark,
death, then you can
yeah.
just find them and hunt them wherever they go and whatever they do.
So I mean, like the first one should have had automatic. You mark. You should have been able to pick a mark. Okay. If it's your favorite enemy or whatever the case may be, you know, or you should have been able to pick a favorite enemy or a class or something
Yeah.
that gives you extra bonuses to that, and then you can get additional bonuses. It can increase. Now you got a second one, so either one of those, and
And
then the third and the
actually,
fourth.
if I might go back to the first core, because I noticed something there that really kind of ruins it even more. Debuffs to mark targets from the core abilities do not stack with other players' marks. Only the highest set will apply. Which
Yeah,
basically means if you have one Horizon Walker in your party, you're getting buffs. If you have two, it's heavily, heavily diminished. Like that
yeah,
second Horizon Walker is doing nothing to help that
yep,
party in terms of their mark, which is like half the
no,
tree
absolutely,
because the debuffs don't stack with each other.
nope.
Which is weird because if you had an entire party of debuffers, shouldn't you expect that the enemies you're fighting would be debuffed into the ground and then you could kill them because they're so flimsy at that point?
Oh yeah,
You know,
absolutely. It will be
kind of
there.
like how a two-handed fighter with strike through, which is not a broken stat at all, mind you, um,
It's overly broken.
runs into a room and starts cleaving everything around him so that nobody else gets to play the game because he's so much more broken than everything else. And once again, I defy people to say that two-handed fighting is not broken because,
Especially if you're a paladin.
well, Robogogo plays a two-hander. We are
Yep.
third life tombs. We are third life tunes, fully tomed up, and we have played the game for 3 more years and pretty much know the ins and outs of what we're doing. He can walk into a room with no gear and beat us in damage output.
Yes,
Like that
because
is
a
not good
two-handed fighter.
balance.
No.
But like the mark targets not being able to debuff multiple things at once, that's just a waste of the mark. That's the waste of the potential. If you have six
Yeah.
of these guys in your party, you should expect that they're debuffing things such that the other six can make up the damage. Which means that these guys may not be damagers, but they should be capable of making other damagers augmented and better.
Yeah.
So that was the total rage and rant and horrible on the cores. And we're already 23 minutes into this video. We've gotten past 6 abilities because it's so clunky and bad.
Yep.
So I guess we want to like speed through a few of these.
Well, yeah. I mean, weather geared 25% to negate potential item wear.
That one's fair. I will give them that one because if you're walking the plains all the time and you're not actually at home, repairing your gear and getting it repaired by a armsman or a master smith, then you would have to learn how to do that on your own, and this sort of replicates that. That's fair.
Now you got opening shot, which is force damage.
Yeah, that's for
What does that have to do with the planeswalker?
force damage. They're on like a force damage bender right now, where everything new is contributing giant mountains of force damage for no reason. And it's just, they gotta stop. Too much force damage. Force damage is one of the best damage types in the game. And they just keep adding more.
If it was untyped, or again, if you had to select say alignment damage for a change instead of, because the arcane archer has elemental. Say if this was aligned damage, it would be fine.
Yes,
It's the
or here's another one that you can do. It's a +3 weapon bow attack. A lot of characters have +3 weapon attacks in their trees, but on a marked target, it applies 1d8 Bane damage on hit.
yeah,
Like, the
that's a good
Bane
idea.
damage is important because it matches the theme. The Force damage is not important because it doesn't tell you what this thing is.
No, it doesn't.
I think that's already a better shot, and I just literally spitballed it over the course of 5 seconds of thought.
Now, again, the next one, the eye for accuracy,
Yep.
terminology is wrong. It says a +1 attack with weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So, does that mean with weapons? Because it doesn't state uh, it has to be a bow. It says weapons. So, with the terminology and the coding, the whole bit, does that mean it's going to be all weapons?
Oh, wait a minute. The eye for accuracy is also in the Inquisitive tree by the exact same name with the exact same stat.
Yeah.
It literally is just a nothing burger of stats, and the only reason I would ever take eye for accuracy, including on like high Reaper mode, is if I couldn't figure out a better way to put points in here and didn't want to use a +1 diplomacy.
Yeah.
Like, if I had my diplomacy maxed out and I don't need that extra diplo, I'll put it there to meet the prereq to get to another tier. I'm not going to waste time with +1 accuracy in a tree, so that's wasted real estate to me.
Yeah. But it says weapons.
Yep.
It doesn't say, so that means it's going to be for any weapon.
Yep.
Which, again, it should be for bows.
Maybe.
If that's what this is supposed to be.
I mean, yeah, technically the whole tree is a bow tree. The universality would require that you open it up a little more. But at the same time, it's just not good regardless of what you do. If you have +1 accuracy to bows, +1 to attack with bows, it would be as enticing to me as +1 to all weapons because I don't care about the accuracy. Like, the base attack bonus that I'm going to have being a ranger in this tree is already maximum. So why would I care about having more +1s to attack? I no fail on hits except on a 1. And that +1 is not going to help with that 1 because that's a guaranteed 5% in the game loss. So honestly, eye for accuracy is wasted real estate in my opinion. It's numbers, but it's the same kind of wasted numbers as Inquisitive had. It's just garbage.
And then, of course, the +1 to tumble, spot, and listen. Again, it is just more numbers to increase the skills.
But here's the weird thing. They're getting spot and listen in here, and then you have no skills or abilities that work off of spot and listen, at least as far as I remember. I don't remember reading anything.
We'll see. We'll see what goes in.
But
now,
here's the question. The reflex saving throws, they've also got some trap saves against saves against traps. Like,
okay, well, wait till we get up there first.
Yeah, maybe we'll hold on to that one. So conjure arrows, replacing the ranger, the arcane
entirely. It's replacing a complete class.
It's replacing a unique ability for the arcane archer, which is also something you can get if you're an elf, but you don't get like returning arrows as an elf. You get the access to the tree, and then you have to still spend into returning arrows as that elf, which means that the tree still is relevant. And there's a sacrifice to be made. Here, there's no sacrifice anymore. They just get it for free, and that's it.
Yep, absolutely. So, I mean, again, it's trying to make universal, but it's taken away from a class.
Yep.
Entirely.
Which is what a lot of these universal trees do. Like Vistani Knife Fighter takes away from Assassin, because you don't need the Assassinate DCs in order to be good at that point. Inquisitive takes away from pretty much any crossbow or repeating crossbow build. Because you no longer need them or the classes that are relevant to them. You need 4 Artificer to meet the requisites for Endless Fusillade. So, honestly, it's a universal tree that's got better stats and balance, replacing another tree in a meta sense with no flavor.
Now, they give you something here that's called Walker Training.
Oh.
+1 to attack and damage with longbows and short bows.
Mm-hmm.
What? I mean, that's just waste.
It's kind of waste. I mean, a lot of trees have like a training 1, training 2, training 3, all the way up kind of thing. And it's usually +1 to attack and damage, or +2 to attack and damage with favored weapons or something, because Pallies had to be more powerful. Because, well,
Yep.
I'm pretty sure somebody plays a Pally. Like, I'm really salty at the moment, but it's because this tree has all the stuff in it that I didn't want to see, and none of the stuff I wanted to see. Absolutely
Yeah.
nothing I wanted. Absolutely everything I expected would be bad about it. It's, like, it is... I don't even want to grade it right now, but so far it feels like an F- tree.
Yeah.
It's failing in every regard right now, and it's disappointing because this was hyped up and people are getting ready for this. And I noticed that the forums aren't quite as toxic as they usually are about this tree, but they should be, because I feel like we got robbed with this tree, with the basicness, with the lack of identity, with the tree replacing core mechanics in other classes.
Yeah,
Like,
and just building them up in one class. So it's just lumping them into this.
yeah. But I don't know, we can continue. I'm super salty. I'm trying not to be, but it's such an annoying tree, and every time I look at it, it's worse than it was the first time. If opening
Now
shot is a creature
got
that's...
take it.
Oh.
Yeah, take it the opening.
Mm-hmm.
If opening shot hits at 100% of the points, you do an extra 1d10 force damage for every 2 character levels.
Yeah.
Again, this should not be force. I can see if you wanted to give it
Bane
um
damage.
exactly Bane damage
Like
fits
1d16 or
the hooray.
1d20 Bane damage. Not for every 2 character levels, mind you. Maybe 1d20 for every 3, so that they get a 50% average bump. But like 1d20 every 3 would not hurt, because character levels would lead up to 30, which would actually equal out at that point.
Yeah.
And scales with range power, sure, everything should scale with range power. But like the force damage applies twice when used against marked targets. That's not flavorful though. Flavor
No.
doesn't mean that you metagame the entire class so that you use the best damage type with something that people have to pay to play. That is total metagaming.
Yep. But Bane damage 1d10 every 2. I would go 1d10 every 2
Well,
levels.
you know, the sad thing is that the Bane damage is probably going to do more in the long run because it is untyped and can't be resisted. But also, I don't think Bane damage can be influenced by spell powers. If it can, I'm wrong on that. But still, it fits a theme. Force damage
Yeah.
doesn't fit anything about this class. Or, I guess there's like 40 things in this class, and force damage is one of them, which means it gets convoluted and lost. If
Yep.
you have Bane damage, it fits the marks already. You're already tying it to the marks, and you're tying it to the fact that you hold contempt for these outsiders. So it fits the entire notion.
You're giving it now a theme.
Yes.
You're giving it a personality
Yes.
by doing by the marks and by this. If you're going to give extra damage, like the opening and the whole bet, like the instead of force, you're giving it Bane damage. You're giving it a personality that can fit a theme for this class, and actually, which can increase the damage for it.
Yeah. This is actually it reminds me of the Epic Destinies, which is, that's the previous one I did here. And 2-hour long video, so I'm expecting it's going to be the same. But it reminds me of it in the sense that the Epic Destinies started to focus. Some of them didn't. I think Divine Crusader was super unfocused when I was doing it. But some of the Destinies were really focused. I actually really like the multi-selector of Primal Avatar. I like the randomness that was in the Fey tree for Shirati Champion. But they had a focus and they stuck to it. This one has no focus. It's going all over for metagaming. And that's the exact problem that I've noticed with every Universal tree that's come out. And honestly, with every revamped tree, minus the Druid animal form trees. Those are the only two I've seen where it doesn't have either super overpowered metagaming BS or lack a theme entirely and just have numbers. And I think Pale Master it's not that it lacks a theme, it's that it lacks that immersion feel. It's total metagame. It's totally overpowered so that you get the best things you can get.
Now, I do like the fact one thing in here. I mean, the skilled navigator,
Yeah.
because you're walking the planes and the whole bit. It you do get points in avoiding traps, saving
Um,
throws versus traps.
it would
So
be.
therefore,
I guess here's the thing. What traps would you find in the other planes, in the outer planes, for example, which are, 20 different planes
but
hanging on the outside of the material realm?
yeah, but when you go in there, you're sort of avoiding the traps, or you're seeing the traps, or navigating around the traps because you can go through the planes. You can see the traps, so you can go through, sort of go through the shimmering of the planes to avoid the trap.
I guess here's the
So that's
thing.
your.
Which traps are
I
out
know it's
there?
I know it's stretching,
Yeah.
uh, but it sort of does fit
I feel
walking the
like
planes, I guess.
that's a Deepwood Stalker right there, is avoiding traps. Because Deepwood Stalker would be living out in nature, would be actually setting traps and would know what to look for, but would also be lurking through dungeons and, dealing with their favorite enemies and would figure out the traps that those guys would use as well. They would actually follow them. These guys would be like, if outsiders drop traps, but outsiders don't need to drop traps. They're so much more powerful than a kobold. Kobolds would use traps because they're weak and pathetic.
No,
Whereas
but
if you're hunting like Ifriti, I mean, like what traps would an Ifriti set?
well, you there could be all kinds of traps, but I mean, I understand it's sort of a numbers game,
Yeah,
and it's sort of at
it
the
might be
same time
stretchy.
you're stretching,
Yeah,
but you can still, you know, give at least it sort of fits in a sense, because it's like you're true seeing, not so much true seeing, but you can sort of see the shimmering, so you have a chance
yeah.
avoid it, and gives you that. So I mean, I can see it at least fitting in here.
I guess
Um,
it's not a complete F minus. I don't think it's good. But
yeah,
it's not
no,
like it's not
but it's filler.
detracting bad. It's just
No,
it's filler. Yeah, you said it's filler. It's pretty much what it is. It feels like it's just putting numbers in there.
yeah, and I mean the next one is you got dodge and strike.
This one is so dirtily.
When you tumble, your range power equal to half your character level for
12
12 seconds.
seconds.
And this can stack every
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah, it triggers
Which,
every 30 seconds. So it's got approximately a 40% uptime. But like
yeah,
when you
but only
tumble, you
if you
get range
tumble.
power. I don't know how that I know that they're trying to go with a theme, dodging and striking as though, you can tumble and then immediately loose an arrow. But like would you lose accuracy as well? I think you would.
Yeah,
If you're
you
just like
would.
immediately coming up from a roll and shooting, you're not just going to immediately bean that dude in the head. Like it's just done. And why is your shot way more powerful than if you spent your time, you know,
Aiming it.
yeah, spent your time actually drawing your bow back and then releasing at the right moment, like what you'd
Like
expect in the
aim
pencil and
shot.
paper.
Like in the Deepwood Stalker, you got aim shot.
Yeah, that's
You
exactly.
get a plus 10 to hit, critical damage multiplier, and so forth like that.
And that one's another one that's weird because aim shot, like they already have a tree that fits the second theme we're gonna find here that we're finding right now with dodge and strike, which is like heavy hitting attacks for this Horizon Walker tree. It's supposed to be about planeswalking abilities, force damage, marks, and heavy hits. And they've
Yep.
already got Deepwood stocked for heavy hits. The marking system would be covered by favorite enemies.
Yep.
The force damage just doesn't make sense and comes out of nowhere. And the
Yep.
planeswalking abilities don't really even exist in here.
Not yet, anyway. We haven't got there.
Yeah.
Now the next one is your first one, which is a favorite outsider, which is a level uh 2 tier.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't you getting a favorite enemy in your first tier?
That's actually a good thing because Vistani Knife Fighter gets undead in their first tier.
Yeah,
What was it? Does Falconry get one? Yeah, they get animals in their first tier.
yeah,
You're entirely correct about that. I didn't even notice that. Evil Outsiders, you could get them as a first level ranger. So why
yeah.
is it that the ranger based universal tree gets their favored enemy slower than everybody else?
Yep.
Because I mean, like as I say, Vistani Knife Fighters are meant to kill undead, but aren't Horizon Walkers meant to kill outsiders?
Or at least something from a different dimension or plane.
Yeah, it's not. I don't know why they put it
It
there.
takes
Favorite enemies aren't good enough to be in a second tier, even.
Well, to be honest with you, the favorite enemy should have probably been the first mark.
Oh yeah, yeah. You could grab like in the core, you could grab your favorite enemy because that's the whole point of the tree.
Yeah.
That's a bad placement for that. I think.
Yep.
I feel like everything we're just poo-pooing on.
Sorry.
We need to find something that's good, huh? Don't we?
Well, okay. So the next one would be no step miss.
No. Oh no. This is the worst one to go to not poo-poo the system. Basically this is know the angles for decks. Know the angles obsoletes insightful deadly and insightful tactical feats, but it
Yep.
lends itself to a play style of you can be an intellect damager or a wisdom damager, or you can be pretty enough to be a charisma damager. You're so pretty, you're so sexy that it hurts. Is what it is.
Really, I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with this at all.
It really doesn't. That is a ranger thing right there. But then
Yep.
again, they put it in the universal because everything else is. But Robogogo mentioned this one as the total obsolescence of strength. Because the only non-battle trancy stats now are strength and con is HP, so it's useful for everybody. But
Yep.
what is strength useful for at this point? It's useful for trees that can't get other modifiers like the Vanguard or Barbarian trees.
Yeah.
Like, it's required for those because they only grant strength and their stats work off of strength, their abilities work off of strength. But
Yep.
most trees now work off of highest mod or, highest of these two stats and you choose the best of the two.
Yeah.
If you had any stat, including con, I argue, that would have you using an ability and that ability would be like DC equals highest of con or strength, you would take the con. You would take anything except for strength. And this is the death knell of strength. And if they introduce a universal tree that has a strength battle trance, I will be losing my mind. They need to stop this crap. This is a terrible, terrible ability.
Now, did you read the rest of it?
Oh?
The very bottom. On a vorpal hit, you have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
A chance to get a recharge.
Yes.
For one of your charges. A chance. Instead of a guarantee, you get a chance.
Honestly, I think the ability should be gone, so the ability to restore charges, because this is like a non-magic tree.
No, I understand that.
Here's the weird thing. It doesn't tell you how many charges you get to start off with to tell you if it's overpowered.
No.
Like, that's the biggest annoyance there, is that it's not even properly laid out. If you only get one charge, then it's still broken, because it's still 2 minutes worth of uptime, and you're gonna Vorpal in 2 minutes. Are we kidding?
Yeah. Yep.
No,
the next one is really the two places that one.
Yeah.
Why do you get many shot or scatter shot? You gain displacement for 12 seconds.
Because you're walking between planes. You're in two places at once.
That's a little overpowered for a core or a tier 3.
Yes, like that is a top tier ability, and it's in a tier 3.
Yeah.
It's not gated. You don't like have to lock yourself into tier 5s for that. That's a top tier ability in tier 3 that anybody can take as a ranger.
Yeah.
It's almost mandatory to take that now because displacement is so powerful. And you can just keep using Many Shot, because Many Shot's cooldown isn't 12 seconds, is it? What do we got for Many Shot's cooldown here? I'm just going to check it up right there.
I have Many Shot right now, which I have 3 charges, and it's 12 duration is 12 seconds.
It's 2-second cooldown.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep this up throughout the entire fight. And you can still restore Many Shot charges or Scatter Shot charges later.
Yeah,
and this tree gives additionals.
Yeah, I got 3 charges right now, Many Shot.
And you know it's not too difficult to restore charges. You can
No, it's
regain one
not.
every 12 seconds you don't use it, which is
Yep.
the uptime level of displacement. You can perma keep displacement up with
Yeah.
this ability.
Yep.
That is so busted, it's
Over
silliness.
overkilled.
Mm-hmm. That is a core. That is a tier 5 or a like core 5 or 6. And it's sitting right there. You can literally pick this up before you hit level 4 in this game and have displacement before a wizard could get it, and wizards used to have to sacrifice before the Pale Master was so overpowered it was silly. They used to have to make
And
a
a warlock
sacrifice between defense and offense.
and a warlock had to get it. You couldn't get displacement until level 12.
Mm-hmm.
As so that's level 12. So this here is level what? Level 6,
This is level
level 7
3.
that you get that?
This is level 3.
No, you have to be at least level 6 though.
Nope. Nope. You get 4 points per level. You need 10 points spent in the tree, and this costs 1 for 11, so you can get this nearing the end of level 3.
Okay, yeah. Okay, you're right.
That is so frigging busted. It's silly.
Yep.
I hate this whole tree. I hate it all. It's terrible.
No, you get this nowhere to hide. Again, it's just more filler that you can
That one's fairer.
nearby secret doors of DC or 5, and it increases by +3 every 2 character levels.
Yeah, if we accept the
That's the
saving
filler.
throws against traps, we have to accept this one because that is
Yeah,
thematic to the Horizon Walker's hunting.
yeah,
But at the same, like, that's the first ability I think that's just standard thematic that I could accept on the face of it, and is kind of
Yeah.
cool and is not overpowered. That's the big thing. Like,
No.
the stuff we've seen so far is either really stupidly bad numbers, like +1 to attack or +2 to saving throws against traps, or they're so broken, like the one we just went over with 2 places at once, that it's silliness. This one is an actual tier 3 that can find you secret doors. And it's a little convenient, but it's not breaking the game. Now, mind you, I
Yep.
don't know anybody who would actually take this, because if you're going to be a Horizon Walker, you're probably going to be a Ranger to stack the 2 of them, and you're probably going to
Yep.
go ahead and grab at least some search, so you can find the secret doors anyway. It's just saving you seconds of time. But
Yeah.
it still fits the theme. It's the only ability
Yeah.
that fits, and it's the worst ability I've seen so far, other than those, like, piddly numbers.
Yeah. The next one is just again numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You get a +1 to dodge, +1 max dexterity bonus while wearing light armor, and that goes up to 3.
I will give him the fact that dodging could be emulative of phasing through planes, but at the same time,
Yeah.
it's not clear enough. So it just feels like numbers.
And of course, you got wisdom. You got the ability scores,
Yeah,
which is
it's par for the course.
yeah.
There's the
next
scout
one is-
shot.
Oh, I was just looking at Walker Training 2.
Mm. Oh, you're on the other side. I'll be over
Yep.
there. We'll get to scatter shot later.
Yep.
So,
So now you got Walker Training 2.
mm-hmm.
Now it's a +1 attack and damage with long bows and short bows. So it's just
It's numbers.
yep.
It's super numbers. It's total numbers. It's not interesting. It's just numbers.
Yep.
So, next one.
And then you get you get what's it? Corner of the Quarry.
I like it. I like the first part. I don't like the second part. Actually, no, it's on a Vorpal. Maybe they're good.
Yeah.
That's fair, actually.
Yep.
I like this one. I found an ability
Yeah.
I could really back on this one.
Yeah.
But what do you think?
Oh, again, it is somewhat, but at least it's applying what you got the core for, which is your mark. So it's actually using the mark and applying it to this ability.
Yeah, I got a beeping truck outside. I don't know if that'll come through. Hopefully it won't. But no, like, this one is actually like a lockdown mechanic. The name fits, the theme fits. You're locking people down. You are literally stopping them from moving for 12 seconds.
Yes.
And it's a DC plus your listen. So there's the first thing we actually saw listen skill useful for.
Yep.
And I can see that to a certain extent, listen or spot, because listen is like you were tracking that thing, and then you finally narrowed it down. Like, it's not moving anymore, it stops moving, so you could just immediately immobilize it because you know it's exactly there. It's kind of cool. It used listen, which is something that nothing in the game has used for a long time. And the stun with no save on a Vorpal is still good because you would think that you would hit them just in the right spot, that they would just be down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, I can't bash it. It's a good ability. I'll take it. I mean, that's...
Yep.
It's the first one. Yippee!
Yep.
Next.
Now the next one is Tenacious Hunter. That's about extraplanar creatures and marked targets. Again, this is where the marked targets are a waste because it's not taking the theme of what the Horizon Walker is. The planar part of this is, again, the marked targets should have different creatures and additional creatures that you get to add on to it. So by the time you get to the fourth one in the core, you've got 4 creatures that you can mark or make marked. Okay, right off the bat. So it just goes up the level, but you've got, say, 4 creatures. Then therefore, this one here would fit the core. Not that, oh, I got a dwarf mark.
Yeah.
And then you know, or if I got improved precision there, that I can also get the planar guy with this too.
Improved precise shot.
Yeah, improved precise shot. Yeah.
I guess, yeah, I agree with you in the sense that, like, if this is an extra planar hunter, how much time are they spending hunting non-extra planar creatures that they can get, that they're as good against them as they are against extra planar creatures if they could just mark them?
Yep.
Like, how good are these guys at hunting other things that have different weak points and different bodily structures that they can actually mark them effectively as though they were extra planar? Like, here's how it would go. Against marked targets, you get X damage. Against extra planar creatures, regardless of whether or not they're marked, you get X plus damage. You get, like, against marked targets, +6, because you're still good at archery. Against extra planar, it's +10, regardless of whether or not they're marked. Like, that already makes it more thematic. Extra planar should be like your bread and butter. You crush extra planar creatures.
Yeah.
But you're still a good longbow user, so you should still be able to shoot other creatures that are marked because you're still a hunter. But no, the way it's worded now, it's like you're as good against marked targets as you are against extra planers or outsiders. No, silliness. It's trying to keep the balance of it so that you're not completely useless against non-extra planers, but it's easy to keep that balance if you just make the damage good, and then when you're against those particular outsiders, you make it outstanding.
Yep.
So I dismiss the very notion of that because it ruins the theme.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Now this scatter shot.
It's each randomly select up to 1 to 3 enemies. Oh wow, that's a bad start to the description. Expend 1 charge to randomly select up to 3 different enemies at close range and shoot 1 arrow at each of them, which is many shot, really. So it's the same exact ability as many shot, except I think many shot is more focused and you can actually choose your targets, whereas this one is scatter shot. You just choose 3 random dudes.
No, what you do is you shoot 1 and it's basically like an area of effect. So it's just like a pitchfork in a sense. It just fires out 3 shots.
Yes,
so
except if this
hits the one and probably hits the nearest, the 2 nearest to it.
I guess the thing is, if this one cannot choose its targets, it's inferior in every way to many shot. And if it gets more power than many shot would per target, it's still kind of inferior because we can one-shot things with most of our characters, and even if we couldn't, being able to focus an
this is,
enemy.
actually this is overpowered if you think about it.
Oh,
If it works on the same way as any other bow shot with improved precision that you shoot through enemies.
mm,
Now with this here, if you have that the scatter shot, say you select one or you don't
yep,
select one, however it works. If the precise shot works through that, all those three arrows will shoot all the targets
it'll go
and
through
hit
all the
all the
next targets.
yes,
Mm-hmm. That
and it
could break
could.
it, yeah. So that is potentially a much stronger hit than Many Shot would be, because Many Shot would shoot three targets in quick success, or three arrows in quick succession at a target.
On one target, whereas this one here could shoot three. So if you have, say, you have a group that's got nine targets there, and you hit three, and they're all behind or whatever, then it could go through. If
Mm-hmm.
it works, go through all of them. You could do damage to all nine.
Well, to be
It would be like a strike through,
yeah, like
except
your standard strike through hit,
yes,
which every time you cleave somebody, it's also going to cleave all the stuff again because strike through applies everything to everything.
yep,
Yeah, no, if that's the case, Scattershot can be super busted in giant
yeah,
groups, but I think the
yeah.
group size would have to be significant. I still think single target working down is better because you get rid of an enemy and they're no longer
Mhm.
a threat. If they're dead, they don't do any damage.
No, no, but it's just something a potential that could be
It was a good
with this.
insight, honestly, because I didn't think about that. But
Now, the next one, the Walker's Guidance.
uh uh
You and a target ally gain evasion and a +5 to saving versus traps. Now, of course, at least with this here, it's a clicky.
uh-huh.
At least it is a clicky. It's not like, well, you gain this or you get this.
Imagine.
You actually have to click on it
Just
or click
imagine.
on the person.
Just imagine that you get to like select a target friend to mark. Both of you
Yeah.
permanently get evasion and +5 to saving throws versus traps.
Yep.
Imagine how stupidly busted that would be. You could literally just say, "Hey fighter, take your plate armor off and you get free evasion."
Yeah.
And then you're unstoppable versus this room of casters.
Yep.
That would be so busted. I love it.
Yeah.
But even then,
Mind you, there is a 60-second cooldown, but still,
uh-huh.
at least it's something to click. It's not like more numbers in a sense.
Well, here's the
And
thing.
again, it's not passive.
On a realistic standpoint, would you ever use this for anything other than yourself?
Really, no.
Characters who
Because that means you
already
have
yeah, characters who already have evasion won't need it. The +5
nope.
to saving throws is trivial for almost every dex-based build that would have to run through a trap.
Yep.
And only you would have to spec out of, would have to spec evasion really with this talent. I don't think it would be useful for anyone else.
No.
I think it's trash. I think it's a waste of space. Like,
Oh no, I understand.
it's a good
But
thought.
like I say, at least it's a clicky versus more numbers or a passive.
Yeah, well,
That's
this
about
whole
it.
tree has been like 3 abilities and a passive list.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's kind of cool to think of. It's kind of like the halfling one where you bestow upon an ally. It's the heroic companion. You just bestow upon them a bunch of different buffs, but you don't get them yourself. It's like
Yeah.
you can run up to your tank and just drop this buff and it'll help him do some stuff for a bit. It's an action boost. It kind of
Yep.
feels like that, but the action boost version of Walker's Guidance here doesn't feel like it would ever be used by anybody in any situation.
Yeah.
So I would say it's wasted real estate just because it's cool but not valuable.
Oh no. No, I understand, but like I say, for a change, it's actually an ability that you have to click on versus we'll give you a whole bunch of numbers or this is going to be a passive effect.
Yeah,
Whether
it's kind of weird.
I mean that's the only thing I have positive to say on it is an ability.
Uh-huh. Well, they've
even
got
though it is wasted.
at that point in the cores, they would have 5 dismissing conjure arrows, which is not an ability you'd use in combat unless you forgot to. So they'd
Yeah.
have 5 actual abilities. Dimension Door is not really an ability, it's a spell, but even then it's a very not used one. So it doesn't count as like an active combat thing. No Step
No.
Mist is a buff, so it would last for a bit, but I'll put it in there because it's kind of good. So that's the 6th actual ability that they would get to use, and I feel like it's useless. So
Yeah.
hopefully that final one here, what is it? Misty Step would actually carry them a little bit there, because I think a lot of their activated stuff is pretty bad. Anyway, did you want to continue the last 3, 4 there?
Now, banish the quarry.
Hmm.
Again, it's force damage. It should be bane damage. It should not be force. It should be bane.
Now,
Every
it does
character.
have the extra planar banishment thing.
Yeah, I understand that, but again, we should not have force in there.
Yeah, no, that would be
Okay.
bane damage in my opinion. But here's the question. Dismissing that because it's already lame, and I think we could both agree it's super lame.
Yeah.
Do you think that a listen skill should be able to banish creatures on a will save?
No.
I don't know what their justification for listen is on this ability. It makes no sense. You can't listen somebody into banishment and affect their will by your ability to listen to them.
Yeah.
Like, that is super weirdly phrased and super weird in terms of, like, even Spot fits a lot better than listen. Because at least you might have seen a weakness, or you may have seen, like, something that can banish them.
Even search would fit.
Mm-hmm. Listen fits nothing there.
No.
That's actually really bad.
Yeah.
And it's D20 plus your listen skill instead of D20 plus your wisdom score or something like that.
Yeah.
Which would actually emulate the listen skill plus your wisdom in addition.
Mm-hmm.
It would emulate that with wisdom score. If you really wanted to play that way. But even then I don't like it because it makes more wisdom-based builds.
Yep.
That's just a bad one on the face of it, honestly.
Oh, totally.
It's the only banishment we've seen so far, and it's bad because it doesn't make sense.
Nope.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, the next one, what does Feywild have to do with the Horizon Walker?
Oh, yes, this is the first one where they actually barely touch upon Feywild attunement, and you get competence bonus to threat range and multipliers with bows. Like, it has nothing to do with Feywild attunement in the description, and neither does this tree have anything to do with Feywild thematically.
At all. No.
Like, all of this is disconnected. It feels like metagamey numbers with a name attached that seems like it might allude to something that is extant in the world. But it has no actual connection to this tree or to the world.
No.
I consider that a waste of an opportunity.
Another one.
Yeah.
So I mean that's 2 out of 3 of the top tier that is just a waste.
Well, the Feywild attunement gives a benefit in the sense that it's powerful, but it feels like metagaming. It feels like they had to have a competence bonus to threat range and multiplier, and so they just called it something and then said, "This is your description."
Yeah, but it's only a +1 anyway.
Most trees get a +1.
And a multiplier, yeah, it just lets 2 out of 3.
I would say that one's a miss in a different way, because critical is the way to break the game right now. But it's a miss in a different way because they didn't have any theme or any attachment to the world, the story, whatever.
No, it has nothing of that. See, if they had have called it the planar attunement or
planar attunement would have been cool.
Yeah.
But like, if they just said planar attunement, I wouldn't have as much of a problem. They included the Feywild, which means that they included the reference. They were intertextualizing all of the referential content of the Feywild that had nothing thus far to do with Horizon Walker at all.
No.
It's obnoxious and absurd that they would include the Feywild when they had no basis for it. I feel like this is an alpha tree beyond an alpha tree. It's like somebody started this tree with, we have to make sure that rangers are powerful, and did not think about, hey, we have to make sure that this feels like a cool tree that a ranger could spec into, or anybody else could spec into, and it has a playstyle, and we're going to fit that theme, and we're going to keep things focused. It feels like, no, we got to metagame this so that we can get this tree working, so that we can get, you know, more people playing this class. If you want people playing ranger, make ranger trees better. If you want people
Yeah,
playing Horizon Walker, make Horizon Walker good.
with an identity
With an identity, with something that
and
coalesces
some.
into a universal stance.
Now, what does I've been reading it and don't understand it. This Misty Steps,
Oh,
is
Abundant
that
Step,
supposed to
yes.
be it? No, it's called Misty
Well, it's
Steps.
Misty
But
Step, but it emulates Abundant
as
Step.
an abundant step, you disappear. Is that another displacement?
No. What Abundant Step is you are able to leap through the air to bring the fight to your enemies or traverse chasms that make normal adventurers balk. So it's a 3-second cooldown super jump that a monk normally gets at level 12. And it requires ki normally. This one will not cause ki, which means that it is actually superior in every single way to Abundant Step, and you visually disappear, which means that you can jump, disappear, nothing can see you, and you can just run past it.
So again, it's displacement.
It's not
You're getting a
displacement,
displacement.
it's like the invisibility spell.
Okay.
So you jump through the air 20 feet or whatever, and then you turn invisible and stuff looks around for you and you can just run past it and keep doing that as you go along. And you're just going to have a bunch of monsters with question marks over their head. That's the way that it appears to be because that's the way that they phrased it. And Abundant Step is normally just a leap.
Oh, okay.
So it replaces another core class mechanic, in this case the monk, with something that is significantly better that everyone can access. And it costs nothing. It costs zilch for resources. You can keep doing this every 3 seconds you play. It's basically the ability to jump through different realms in order to get to where you want. That's the theme of it. It would fit the theme if it weren't for the fact that it was super busted compared to a class-invested mechanic that requires 12 levels of a class that a lot of people aren't playing anymore. I don't see monks ever on live.
Yeah.
And this makes you able to do one of the monk's coolest things without actually doing any monk.
Oh, I can get that.
It's aggravatingly bad. Like, this is so metagamey. It feels like it should exist, but it feels like it's way more powerful than the current class mechanic and doesn't require resources. And that's the metagamey part. It's like, it's way better, but you're not having to risk anything to get it. You have to take the top tier, which has already got crit multiplier and bane damage and a banishment effect. Those the second 3 that we dealt with, not the first ability, but the next 3, are so good that this is actually worth taking at the top tier. As much as we've griped on it so far. And Misty Step is obnoxiously good. I don't like it in any way.
And then, of course, the last one is the improved Archer focus.
Yes.
Instead of getting 15, you get 25.
Which is funny
Again,
because...
is overkill.
I mean, Archer's Focus is a feat that just constantly stacks that stuff up. It's in with the Precise Shot standard feat, not the improved one, but the standard one. Mm-hmm. It's just numbers, though. It's like, how did you... The Archer's Focus is numbers. The feat itself is numbers. But also, the identity is not there. Improved for Archer's Focus is not there for this whole tree. So it's just numbers for them. Like, you're getting ranged power because you're standing still. But what does that have to do with Horizon Walker that looks like, at this point, an extremely mobile tree that wants to lock other people down but keep itself moving? That breaks the theme again. It just keeps breaking the theme. Oh, the rage with this tree!
Yep.
All right, so in summation...
I give it an F.
I give it an F?
No, I give it an F. I mean, basically, there's no identity.
Mm-hmm.
There's no substance. They're stealing from other classes and combining them into this.
Mm-hmm.
There's no personality in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The same point is they aren't improving the archer or trying to help improve the archer's ability for damage or even hit. So those are a lot of my reasons why.
I think all of those are valid, and I can completely agree. I think it's an F minus tree. We got to give it a grade of F minus, and I'm really disappointed that this is where they went with it. Do you
Yeah,
have any
me too.
closing statements for this particular tree?
Well, to be honest with you, they need to go back to the drawing board, uh, start figuring out some personality, some goal for this class or multi-class or universal class or whatever the case may be. What's the purpose of this class? Number two, they got to get rid of this force damage
Mm-hmm.
entirely.
Mm-hmm.
This here, because it's uh, planar, then it should be bane damage.
Yep.
I mean, even if they kept the amount of just changed it from force to bane damage and everything else, I could live with that
Mm-hmm.
because yes, the bane damage would fit this theme.
Yep.
Okay, more so than the force. They need to look at some of the what they're giving, like the displacement. That should not be there. I can see teleport and greater teleport. On the core 5 and 6 that would work
Mm-hmm.
more so than displacement. I could live with maybe a lesser displacement, say in tier 4 or
I
something.
could also live with that if they put it in tier 4 or even tier 5. Like
Yeah,
arguably tier 5 is still where lesser displacement is to go if you're going to put it on many shot or scatter.
yeah,
Arguably it's still a tier 5 because they're a universal that gets no, like they would have no access to this guaranteed. They would still have to go into a
yeah,
class to get standard displacey.
yep,
So a lesser displace effect when you use the core attack of the tree, you get the lesser displace effect, is so
yes,
good still. It is yummy.
yeah,
And I would say if you really want to do it, lesser displace and incorp. If you really
yep,
want to go for it and stack up a couple of different things, because incorp is pretty easy to come across, I think it's not bad. It's overpowered already. But if you need to do something, lesser displace is too powerful. It's a
yeah,
50% right off the bat that at least non-crowns, non-reapers are hitting you. Guaranteed.
yeah,
50% loss of their hit chance.
yep,
And honestly, um, even then, yeah, I would say, because it's full uptime, so you basically replaced one of the crucial component pieces, which is lesser displacement, and it's full uptime. You've always got displacement on. Make it
yeah,
lesser, put it in tier 5. Even if you wanted to tack on 10% incorp, not incorp bypass, because I think that's part of the tree that you should have a different area. Like,
yeah,
now you bypass the incorporeality of monsters as if you had ethereal. Could be an entire area, entire ability itself. But if you just
yep,
tacked on incorp as well, it would feel like you have basically halfway displaced from the world. Even if the
yeah.
stats don't align that way, which they should not. But it's tier 5
Mhm.
regardless. It's still too powerful. It's ridiculous that they get full uptime on that.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd say total F minus tree. I think that's all the time we have for this one, though. Do you got any closing statements for what you want to say to the guesticles that are listening?
I just like to say and hope that maybe somebody from Dito will just take some of the effects in. I mean, yes, I'm a ranger, but at the same time, give it an identity and
It's
stop stealing from other classes to fill in this.
yeah.
Think about the core.
It's actually a good thing that you say that because you are the ranger who was waiting for this tree to come out to revamp rangers. And it
Yep.
doesn't work for you at all in any stretch. So it was a good thing to bring you on here to mention that because I would have probably been speaking somewhat out of my ass on this one. But
And
bringing
I
you on,
and
you knew what you were talking about.
I'm not actually asking that I get to the top tier damage. I just like to say if you're going to give this, give it some type of feeling or whatever. So if you're doing a planeswalker, then give it that you're
Yeah.
doing it for extra dimensional creatures. And I'm just talking like if you're going to have evil outsiders, devils, and demons, something like that that comes from a different plane. That that you should be able to get stuff, and the marks should be marks of something of substance for the
So
different things.
you want damage, and I think that's fair to say anybody would want damage, but you also
Yep.
want flavor, and flavor is what's lacking. It's lacking so badly that no matter what amount of damage you got, would you say it's still not worth it?
Yeah.
I think that's fair, honestly. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
if there's no flavor at all, then whatever damage they give me, if they gave me plus 40 crit multiplier.
Oh, I have Robogogo here. He has a comment too.
I mean, like I
Oh,
said,
the
I actually
rage.
found the tree to be. I guess this is one that I'm not overly emotional about, but I'm completely so utterly meh about.
Oh, that's exact. Like, I'm actually emotional about this because I've played a ranger and it was one of my favorite tunes. But I
Yes.
felt like I probably couldn't do it justice, and I think Whiney probably said more about it than I ever could.
Like my biggest thing is like for me, it's more like I felt so amazingly meh about it.
Yep.
I felt stronger about losing Action Hero than I did about.
And the funny thing is that may not be lost, but if it is, it's more important than anything in this tree or the tree combined, the total value of the tree.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I found with the tree is like if I'm a ranger and I took Deepwood, we'll just say.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I'm comparing Deepwood to this, but why would I take any of that? Like,
Yep.
I think I would rather just be Deepwood. Like Deepwood has better flavor. It's
Mhm.
actually numerically better. Like it's just better in every way. It's just better.
Yep. There are certain abilities in this one that are super overpowered, and then others that are really ridiculously
I could
useless.
see taking Deepwood and then taking what, like 2 tiers in that for the know the angles out of Dex.
Yeah, or the displacement at level 3, the third tier.
Yeah, where
take
if you're
that
using
too.
what is it? If you're using Medi Shot,
Yep.
you get displacement. That one,
Yep.
Which I actually thought was even less dirtily than the tumble because I'm like, well, you're going to be using Medi Shot. I mean, fuck.
No, that's exactly the case. It's like, it's uptime. It's perma uptime because Many Shot and Scatter Shot have a 2-second cooldown. It's
Yes.
perma uptime of displacement at level 3.
Yes.
It has never been done before, and it is so busted
Oh,
that you're going to take tier 3 and then just leave.
I kind of was thinking about. I was driving to Fredericton this morning, obviously, right?
Mm.
And I was kind of like thinking about the Epic Destiny patch. And now I'm actually even more concerned than I was last night. And it's not even a scaling thing.
Well, I think I'm going to end this one, and maybe we can do that off screen there.
Yes.
But I think that's all the time we have for this one. I'm going to head into the loot room to try and peter down a little bit. And you guys take care. Anything you want to say there, Robo?
Just don't forget to drop the skid marks, Horizon Walker style.
Woo. No, I don't like it. I don't like it. But I'm gonna get up out of here. This video's probably like an hour and 20 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see you later. Bye-bye for now, everyone.